You know what I love? Intricate, over-the-top, ever-escalating fight scenes. You know the kind. Battles that, as they go on, cause the combatants to continuously one-up each other in order to gain the upper hand until the situation reaches a sequence of truly marvelous madness? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Basically, it's a physical manifestation of the phrase, anything you can do, I can do better. Now, there are mainly two different ways of executing an intricate, over-the-top, ever-escalating fight scene. The first is when both combatants are on equal footing. The escalation is due to having to go blow for blow with their opponent. For example, in Rick and Morty, when Rick and Spacebeth fight, every attack they throw at each other has a crazy sci-fi answer, sent right back at it. In the same show, there's also Rick versus Toxin Rick. Same deal, two equally matched adversaries trying their best to get the upper hand. Another example is from MODOK, where MODOK and Monica Rappaccini have, in the show's own words, a mad scientist duel. They use everything from de-aging rays, monkey transformation syringes, and 2D grenades to gain the upper hand. And can I just say, that's one of the things I love about these kinds of fights. The tricks and tools that the combatants pull out to try and stay ahead are just downright enjoyable. In sci-fi, it's any number of rays, serums, and super science devices, and in fantasy, it's an endless amount of spells, potions, and summons. Speaking of fantasy, an example from said genre that displays two combatants on equal footing one-upping each other is The Sword and the Stone. Merlin and Madame Mim's wizard duel that has them shapeshifting into different animals to counter the last is a great display of the kind of fight I'm talking about. Especially when it ends with Merlin clinching the win by using his noggin and shapeshifting into a virus. A similar duel is found in The Sandman between Dream and Lucifer, or Dream and Corazon if you're talking about the original graphic novel, in which they partake in the oldest game. This is a more abstract version of Merlin and Mim's wizard duel and gets a lot more insane. From animals to concepts to universal forces, these are the forms that the Lord of Dreams and the Lord of Hell take to duel one another. But like most duels of this nature, Dream gains the upper hand by using his head and takes the form of Hope in the face of Oblivion to win. Now before, I said there were two ways of executing an intricate, over-the-top, ever-escalating fight scene, so let's move on to the second. This is when one combatant is significantly stronger than the other, and the weaker fighter is forced to pull out all the stops just to stay alive. I'm talking throwing anything and everything, including the kitchen sink, at their adversary, leading to some truly insane scuffles. For example, Cecil vs. Omni-Man from Invincible. Now this is a normal human man fighting a being with godlike power. And how does he do it? By unleashing every threat he can find that could possibly draw blood. The giant space laser didn't work? Let loose the zombie cyborg horde. That didn't take? Release the hulking kaiju. And during all this, Cecil is teleporting from place to place, seconds before Omni-Man can splatter his brain into the upper atmosphere. Then there's Thanos versus Doctor Strange and Iron Man. Now the latter two are a lot stronger than Cecil, so the power disparity isn't insane. But they're also the ones doing the actual physical fighting, and in comparison to Thanos, spells in an iron suit aren't much of an equalizer. The reason I like these two separate fights is because it shows the two realms of the MCU, science and magic, face off against the biggest bad that their universe has ever seen. And guess what? Science and magic just ain't enough to defeat the Mad Titan. Doctor Strange duplicates, manipulates, and transmogrifies, but it's no match for the Infinity Stones. And Iron Man uses every configuration he can think of with his state-of-the-art nanotech, and yet, all he gets for his trouble is a drop of Thanos' blood and a gush of his own. Now while the methods are an important part of an intricate, over-the-top, ever-escalating fight scene, there is one thing that's just as crucial: the spectacle. And my god, can it get crazy. So now, I'm just gonna list some of my favorite parts of some of my favorite fight scenes of this kind, because who's gonna stop me? So, starting off, we've got the Watcher versus Infinity Ultron from What If. Now the fisticuffs breaking reality, that's cool as hell on its own. But when Ultron goes full Galactus and eats a galaxy, impeccably over the top. And add on the fact that Infinity Ultron has an equally over the top fight against the Guardians of the Multiverse, in which Strange Supreme eats a galaxy destroying attack, and we've got two contenders for deliciously decadent insanity. Next, we've got Kratos versus Thor from God of War Ragnarok, an intense, jaw-dropping, blood-pumping battle against the Norse god of thunder, who lives up to every single story we heard about him in the previous game. Now I love the scene with the Leviathan axe and Mjolnir clashing and creating a frozen lightning bolt, but I'd be lying if I said that the best part of the fight isn't when Kratos is knocked out and Thor defibrillates him back to consciousness so that he can keep fighting. The guy got his KO and he was like, nope, I want more. And the final one I'm going to talk about isn't so much as a scene as it is the majority of a movie, because nothing encompasses the words intricate, over the top, and ever escalating like Mad Max Fury Road. Most of the movie, as soon as the driving begins, is just turning the dial up further and further until it's past 10 and twisted right off. The spectacular spectacle of the chase scenes, the incredible intricacy of every detail, whether it be a driver, their car, or the set piece they're moving through, and the soundtrack syncing with the scenes unfolding, mwah, music to my ears. But that's not even close to all my favorite intricate, over-the-top, ever-escalating fight scenes. In fact, there are many, many, many more. But as much as I'd love to, I don't have forever to talk about them. So instead, sit back, relax, and take a glimpse at some of the few I'm talking about. Hey there, thanks for watching this video, I appreciate it. If you like this one, I got a lot more, and take a gander at those if you like, and feel free to subscribe, I'd love the support. Thanks again, and have a good one.